Hi friends, welcome back to Practicing My Preparedness with Wendy. Today I thought we'd talk a little bit about our pets. We have two dogs, pretty good sized dogs, and Max and Sandy, you might have seen them on some of my other videos. And we consider them part of the family, and even if we didn't, it would be irresponsible of us as pet owners to not consider how to take care of them in an emergency. So an emergency can be an illness or an injury where I can't get out of the house, I can't get to the stores. It could also be a loss of a job where finances are an issue, and I'm concerned about providing for my pets. Or it could be something more global or community-wide, like a fire or a flood, something like that. So it's important to consider your pets and have a plan, have an idea of what you might do with them, and think ahead. So I have Sandy sitting here with me right now. So it's important to think ahead. So let me show you what I've done so far. Mine, of course, is not complete, and I encourage you to put comments at the bottom. Let me know what I've done well and things I can improve on and incorporate into my being prepared. So here we go. During an emergency, you need to consider what type of animal you have. Bless you. I'm going to talk mostly about dogs because that's what we have and are prepared for. And so they certainly will bring emotional support and comfort to us in a time of emergency. But we also need to consider kind of our dog's personalities and that they might need extra emotional support as well. Sandy here is she tends to be my more alpha type dog. And likes to guard, protect, not necessarily defend, but she certainly is an alert and a barker and will let us know if anything is nearby. So that's nice to have, unless we're trying to be quiet about things, if we're traveling or something like that. And so Max is much better at alerting us in a very quiet type of way. He's not as much of a barker unless Sandy tells him that he should be barking. But he is more sensitive, and in an emergency, he might need to stay closer to us. He'll have different needs than Sandy will, I'm sure. Dogs seriously, and so I have taught the dogs to be able to let me touch their paws, their legs. I can stick my fingers in her mouth without her caring too much. They may not like it, but they let me do it. Both of them do. And that's important because dogs can get hurt or injured in these kind of situations. And if they have something stuck in their paw or a limb that needs tending to, it needs wrapping or cleaning a wound, or something's caught in their mouth or they're eating something they shouldn't, and I get my fingers in there, I need to make sure that my dogs let me take care of them and let me touch them in ways they may not particularly like right away, but it's for their safety and for their health. So I do teach them to let me touch their faces, touch their mouths, touch their paws. We teach them simple commands as well. We also have some commands for being quiet when we don't want them to bark. Sometimes they're good at that, sometimes they're not. Well, we're all works in progress. And then there's one more thing that's not nice to talk about, but there may come a scenario when I can't take my dogs with me. I have to leave pets behind. And I have to mentally think that through and know what scenarios that's gonna be, so that when I get to that situation, I already have a game plan and know what I'm going to do. I know some farmers have to do this when there's been wildfires and stuff. The farmers have to open the corrals and their fences and hope that their cows or their horses make it through and use their survival instincts to make it through the wildfire or a flooding as some sort of disaster, because you can't be moving 20 horses. Not in an emergency kind of situation. So my husband and I have talked about kind of situations as to when we leave the dogs behind and when we take them. They are very much part of our family, so our goal is to always take them with us. But because they are extra, they can be cumbersome, they need extra water, there's extra food, there's extra things we need to bring if we take our dogs with us. It is a consideration that everyone should think about when they have a pet. If you have a small dog, do you have a little crate that you can carry them in? Are you prepared in that way? Or if you have cats, people who have, I don't know, lizards and snakes and things like that, you need to consider as a responsible pet parent, what are you going to do if there's some type of an emergency and you can't take them with you or care for them anymore. So not something nice to think about, but as a responsible pet owner, we have to think about those things and get a game plan. I'm going to show you my supplies now. So here are some supplies that I use in my preparedness plan for my dogs. If we're hunkering down, I definitely need to store some extra water. I had talked in a previous video about storing water for our family, and that includes my dogs. And so when I'm considering how many gallons a day my family needs to survive, and I want a 2-month, 6-month supply, whatever it is, consider your animals and what kind of water needs they're going to need as well. And so make sure you set aside and plan for having that water stored as well. We also have food. I'm showing you, this is some freeze-dried food, which is more expensive than regular food. I keep an extra big size bag. My dogs go through a lot of food because they're big dogs. And so I have a extra bag of their regular food that I keep and just rotate it through like I would with my regular pantry. But when I'm talking about and that's for my hunkering down. When I'm talking about my bug out bag or having to leave and I have to carry dog food with us now, if we're using our backpacks, this is what I have. I have the freeze-dried dog food for that purpose. Because I did the calculation, I weighed it all out, and my freeze-dried food is almost half the weight of what the kibble that my dogs eat currently is. So if I can decrease the weight I have to carry by half for my dogs, we're going to use this. So this is more expensive, just like human freeze-dried food is more expensive. So it's a very specific situation that I'm using this for. It came in, I found this at, where was it? Grocery Outlet is where I found this. And I think it was $10 or $12, which is about half the price you'll find on Amazon. And I packaged it up into my Mylar bags with a oxygen absorber in there. And so then I feel like these are good for quite a long time, and I just have them with my go bags to go. So that's what I have for the dogs. Of course, dogs can, in a true emergency survival scenario, dogs can eat a lot of things, fruits, vegetables, raw meat, cooked meat. They can eat a lot of things that I can't. And so they can eat my leftovers if I have any, things like that too. But for the sake of getting through the first 3 or 4 days, I have these packages of freeze-dried food when and if we ever have to be on the go. I also have a little bowl here. They're collapsible. They work perfectly fine. You just expand them to put water or put their food into, and so that's part of my bag as well. A leash of some sort. We have longer leashes as well, but this is just a 6-foot leash to make sure I have control of my dog. I know where my dog is when we are on the go. And then I also have a first aid kit. And so I just incorporate my dog's first aid into our first aid kit as well. But you need to consider for your dogs maybe some antibiotic ointment, because they might be out walking with you and
if there's been a flood or a fire, there's going to be debris all over the place and they might hurt themselves. And so you need to have some tweezers, some antibiotic ointment, some dressings, and like not a Coban maybe wrap that isn't tape, but it'll stick to itself. That's really helpful to keep dressings on for an animal. Cuts on their paws, things like that. And then also some diarrhea medication for my dog should they get into something they shouldn't. And now we have like a diarrhea sort of issue with them. So if your dog is on regular medications, it's super important to have a small stock of that travels with you as well. You can talk to your vet about having a little supply at home aside from just day-to-day supply. Just like people, and some dogs need their medications, and so we need to think ahead and be prepared for that at a time when we wouldn't be able to either pay for it, source it, finances, or availability. We don't have availability to get it. So we need to think about those things ahead of time. Another important thing to have is some sort of ID on your dog. Mine are all chipped, but they also, things might be down and the chipping devices may not be working. If my dog gets separated from me, sorry, Sandy, she's underfoot. If my dogs get separated from me, I want to be able to find them. I know this was a situation in like Hurricane Katrina and emergencies like that where animals were separated, and trying to find your pet afterwards can be a nightmare. So having them chipped is important. They also have collars, a name, an address, something to identify them. Another important thing to have is a photo, a paper photo of your animal, a recent one, to show ownership of your pet. So when after this big emergency, something terrible's happened, the Humane Society and the shelters have all these animals. How do you prove that little Miss Sandy here is mine? How do I prove that? If I don't have a recent picture, ID on their collar, something like that. So make sure, and also shot records are important to have. Keep copies of that somewhere so that you can access those to prove that your dog doesn't need to be quarantined or anything like that. So just another something to think about as you're getting prepared for things. Consider your pets and consider their health, their well-being, and keeping them safe as a responsible owner. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time. Bye.